Why did you take it?
Okay, we're starting up in 2 minutes.
We're going through all that food, and I'm looking at the list.
And since I might not be able to do this later, Dave, thank you very much for what you're doing with us in the museum. Hey, right? No? Okay.
Do you have anything going on?
Here.
My feet's nice and soft.
Oh. Thank you for
Isn't it?
Digital clock now.
your personal one.
One more minute.
Could it be mine?
We're starting in less than a minute.
I got Larry and I think I got it.
Light always reflected right at the top, so you
Yeah,
couldn't
I
see.
bet Selman might have done. Did you talk to Selman?
Talked to Salman and Mike J.
And they both don't know her.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to do the control K thing.
What is the password? I've never done this one before.
Yeah, you gotta do that, and then
You're talking about the one that the senior people did, right?
Talking about what?
You're talking about the video that the senior guy did. Because I was like, wait a
Hmm?
second, I did mine at the DDA.
Signs that were in our packet.
The picture of what?
The sign pictures. I really like that.
Okay, we're going to start now. This meeting is called to order at 6 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are being broadcast live over Van Buren Channel 12, and we are also being broadcast on YouTube. Deputy Clerk, could you call the roll?
Trustee Frazier? Here. Trustee Kelly? Here. Trustee Martin and Trustee Boynton are excused. Treasurer Bud? Clerk Wright is excused. Supervisor McNamara?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll begin with the adoption of the agenda. Trustee Kelly, can you make a motion?
And make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Served by Treasurer Bud. I have a motion. I have support. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is adoption of the consent agenda. Trustee Frazier, could I have a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. It's board meeting minutes, prepaid lists, and the voucher list, so we're okay there. Can I get support?
Support.
Okay. I got a motion by Trustee Frazier, support by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes also. I think we're missing some things in here. All right, so somehow I think we skipped over one, executive summary. Executive summary is simple today. We're basically going to be having a discussion on a selection of a sign company for the community center. We're also going to be releasing funds for the building out of the Denton Road Bridge, doing some of the engineering. And we're going to be having a discussion with Fishbeck over an hourly rate adjustment. And finally, we're going to be doing a big thing for us, which is our 2024 departmental fee schedule, how much we're going to charge for our fees. That's that. Moving on to public hearing. I need a motion. We're going to go into public hearing, so I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Okay, I got a motion. I've got support. Okay. This public hearing, Motion to open the public hearing for, I have to read this off. The 2023 amended and 2024 proposed general fund budgets. The 2023 amended and the 2024 proposed water and sewer budgets. The 2023 amended and the 2024 proposed special revenue budgets, which include the Downtown Development Authority budget, the Local Development Finance Authority budget, the landfill fund, the Belleville Area Museum budget, the 9/11 Dispatch Service Fund, the Federal Forfeiture Fund, the State Forfeiture Fund, the Long-Term Debt Fund, and the Capital Improvement Fund. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of opening the public hearing? Aye. Opposed? We are now open with a public hearing. At this time, this is when the public is allowed to come forward, among other times, and ask any questions they want on the current budget. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to come forward and ask any questions on the budget or any of those items I read off? Do we have anybody virtually that is looking at this? Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Through the chair, make a motion to close the public hearings.
Okay.
Support.
I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Kelly, to close the public hearing. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are out of public hearing. Next item is correspondence, announcements, and presentations. Does anybody have any correspondence, announcements, or presentations? I don't really have any right now either, so, okay. Does anybody, public, we're now into public comment. Is anybody from the public here to make comment on any of the issues that are before this board today? Anybody from the public that wishes to make comment on any issues before the board today? Okay, nobody digitally? Nope. Okay, we're through public comment. Unfinished business, we have none. We're right into new business. Line item number 1, discussion on to consider approval of the selection of Praise Sign Company for the community center signage project. The cost of this is $61,140. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair, I would move to consider approval of the selection of Praise Sign Company for the community center signage project for $61,140.
Support.
Okay. Director Renaud.
Board of Trustees. So the community center interior and exterior signage RFP hit the streets on August 31st. On September 19th, proposals were received from 4 vendors, opened and read aloud publicly. A post-bid interview was conducted with the apparent low bidder, which was Praise Sign Company, on September 21st of this year. The project team is here tonight to recommend to the Board of Trustees to consider approval of the selection of Praise Sign Company for $61,140. This was a budgeted expense for the project in the project budget. And then on the screen, we have some renderings of what the exterior signage will look like. Go through. So we have some pin-mounted letters on the side of the building, illuminated logo on the tower, and some more pin-mounted letters on the main entrance. The waveform, which is carried throughout both exterior and interior parts of the building. A plaque for the outdoor space, and that's the exterior signage. And then the interior signage, we have a bunch of different kinds of signage. This is one that we're able to place on all the doors inside to post any announcements instead of taping anything on the walls and doors. And then obviously we have certain required code signage for ADA, just some generic room signage like this. And then we have rule signs for a lot of our different spaces, some wayfinding signage. And then this is one of our favorite parts. We have a statement wall when you walk in, and there's going to be a petrified moss wall with pin-mounted letters and logo in the middle of that. So that's kind of a little bit of a rendering of what that will look like. And then we have a really fun fake neon sign for our teen space, a dedication plaque, and then a track traffic sign, and then just some vinyl signage on the entrances of the building. And that's it. Is there any questions?
We, talk about the charter township? No.
Yeah, we don't need it. She knows that's all.
All right. Yeah, we had some discussion about whether we use the word charter, and the only people that use the word charter are the townships that know what it means, so we're kind of gonna be dropping the word charter off a lot of this, so just needless. I have no questions, because I've gone over this till my eyes want to bleed. I think it's beautiful. Let's put up the racing wheelchair. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Hold on
So
one second.
every single one of these pictures, the community group, community services group went through and chose, and it's kind of cute, some of the stuff they found, like this logo. I like that. And yeah, it looks like, well, it's kind of fun. So the whole place is gonna be fun. And you want to discuss the wall for a second there, the moss wall?
Yeah. So again, this is the rendering of what it'll look like. It's, I always say prehistoric. It's petrified moss. So it requires a lot. It does not require a lot of maintenance, just usually quarterly. The pin-mounted metal letters in the middle. I'm not sure what else to say about it, but we're super excited.
Yeah, kind of cool and unique architectural detail. Okay, I guess I don't have any questions. Nobody else? Okay, we have them. Thank you. We have a motion by Trustee Kelly, supported by Trustee Frazier. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Next item is to discussion on to consider approval of releasing the remaining funds for the Denton Road Bridge preliminary engineering. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Kelly?
I move to consider approval of releasing the remaining funds for the Denton Road Bridge preliminary engineering.
Support.
All right, Director?
Good evening. At the May 2nd, 2023 Township Board meeting, the Township Board released $100,000 to begin preliminary engineering work on the Denton Road Bridge. The Township engineers have been progressing on the project and are coming close to the spending threshold. In order to continue design work and stay on our targeted timeline, we will need to release the remaining funds. Due to this, staff is requesting the Township Board authorize the remaining $317,700 for the project. On Monday, I had a discussion with the Wayne County Engineering Director regarding the status of the intergovernmental agreement, and they indicated that they had begun working on it and had requested documentation from us to move forward. We have provided some of that documentation regarding state funding to them, and we'll have the remaining documentation they requested by the end of next week. Included in the packet is an update from the engineers on specific tasks that they have completed as part of the bridge engineering design, as well as what they're currently working on. I've also included the original documentation and engineering proposal in the packet as well. As we discussed before, we are continuing without an agreement for reimbursement with the county. However, the funds have been secured from the state, and the county has indicated they are working on the preparation of the document. As we have specified previously, the main purpose for moving ahead in this fashion is to ensure that we're able to have plans ready to bid out next year. While there are still other factors which could provide delays and limit our ability to begin construction in 2024, it continues to be our goal to put ourselves in the best possible position to get the bridge open sooner. That concludes my summary. I'm available to answer any questions, as well as Mr. Kamer from Fishbeck and Associates.
So, can you give us a short update of where we're at for the board?
So there were a number of studies and preliminary engineering tasks that need to be completed in the beginning stages of the bridge. It was more discovery. So they completed the topographic and hydraulic survey of the entire causeway and captured clearance at the Denton Road Bridge. They did geotechnical work, which is soil borings, where they dig down and see what the bottom of the bridge is made of. They've completed the NEPA forms, which are environmental assessments that the federal government requires in the state, and they've also completed the State Historic Preservation Office application. Those will be submitted when MDOT releases the job number, which they're hoping to do this week. The muscle recon survey was completed today, and Mr. Kamer had indicated that the results of that seem promising. The state still has to review and sign off on it, but things,
Promising means you didn't find muscles.
I believe so. So the state, the state has to sign off on it, but that looked good.
Okay.
They also completed a survey. They identified an endangered species called the water willow at the base of the causeway. So they did an assessment of that with a report being finalized to determine what the potential impacts on that could be. They're also, they've began discussions with DTE. As you know, there's a gas main on the bridge, so they're working with DTE to coordinate that. And then they've begun to work on what's called type, size, and location plans, which are the very preliminary stages of the bridge plans to look at the layout and start having the conversations with the state as far as the design goes. So they've made quite a bit of progress. We're continuing to move forward. Our timeline looks for a let in May of 2024, and we're optimistically moving towards that.
Okay. Anybody have a question? Okay, we need to keep the money flowing so we can keep the project moving.
Yes.
All right, I have a motion by Trustee Kelly, supported by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is discussion on and to consider approval of the Fishbeck hourly annual rate adjustment, which will be in effect till June of '24. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair, I move that we can approve the Fishbeck hourly annual rate adjustment, which will be in effect from now until June 2024.
Support.
Thank you, Trustee Kelly. Okay, Director?
Thank you. The Municipal Services Department has received the 2023-24 hourly rate schedule increases from our as-needed engineering contractor Fishbeck. The average projected rate increase reflects a 4% increase. This is the fourth rate increase from Fishbeck since the township began working with them in 2017. We have attached to this board action the rate increase history of and the proposed rates. We have looked at comparable communities and found the fees to be consistent with the rates that are paid by adjacent and other communities. The 4% increase is also consistent with the current CPI, Consumer Price Index rate, for the last 12 months, which according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is at 3.7%. So with that, concludes my summary. I'm available to answer any questions, as well as Mr. Kamer from Fishbeck.
Nope, no questions.
Now, we go through this, we push back every now and then, but this one we understand. It's just everybody went up. And we do have a very, very good engineering company. And I mean, we're very happy with them. They are one of the best in the country, well, probably the country, but in the state. We know that, and we do pay accordingly. So, but we want our stuff to be built right and built to last. Built monumentally, so it lasts 100 years. So, all right, I have no further questions to you. I have a motion by Trustee Frazier. I have support by Trustee Kelly. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is to consider a resolution for the department fee schedule, one of the bigger things we do in the year.
Through the chair,
Trustee Kelly?
consider approval of resolution 2023-25, the 2024 departmental fee schedule.
Support.
Okay. So I've got a motion by Kelly and Treasurer Bud supporting. So the, Frazier?
No, we said it together, so whatever.
I didn't hear.
Sorry.
I didn't.
Let me see, hang on a second. I'm supposed to go to the deputy clerk for this. What's that?
That.
Okay, actually, I don't think you know this. You're listed as a presenter. Tell you what, I have Director Akers here. Could you step forward? And Director Renault, could you step forward? So the fee schedule is basically how we make our money. We are a township, so we basically don't really, most of the services that we provide as a township, we expect to break even on. Based upon that, Mr. Akers, could you give us a general rundown on the building side of the permits and fees?
So there were a few changes to our building department fee schedule. There were a couple minor modifications of a couple line items based on what we would typically do when we review our building department fee schedules. We look at what our actual costs are to perform the type of work. So there were a couple line items that we adjusted in that. We reformatted our building fee schedules to be consistent with the building fee schedules that we have on our application. So that way it's ease of transition for our staff as far as updating items, and it's also the same when people look at the applications to what's approved by the board. One of the other probably more significant changes we made to our building department fee schedule is we took a lot of the items that were related to fire suppression and we separated them out into a separate fee schedule. By doing that, we are making sure that those fees are consistent with the hourly rates that the fire department charges. So all the changes that we're making are for consistency's sake. But there have been a few minor adjustments. I apologize. Don't have them in front of me right this second, but many of the changes were minor to reflect the fire department fees, and there have been a few minor adjustments on a few items.
Generally speaking, if you take building and planning and you look at all the costs associated with working in those areas and their consultants, including Fishback, and you look at all those costs, if you go up to the revenue section and look at the revenue section, you'll find that when you add up the revenue for the permits and fees, and they'll all pretty much wash each other out. So that's where those numbers come from. There is another group of fees, though, that we lose money on.
Hi.
That's our community services fees.
Thanks for setting me up with that.
This is where we basically are giving back to the community.
Absolutely. Good spin. So before we get to the community center, the other two areas that fall under our fee schedules, one is the Belleville Area Museum, which we're super excited to be opening back up in December. We also have an esteemed volunteer here with us tonight, Dave. I'm going to embarrass him, but Dave's been helping us out, and I would pull my hair out without him. So thanks, Dave. Anyways, back to the fee schedule. So we haven't necessarily touched this for a few years. The way that the museums is structured for next year is for suggested donations. Back when we did the public engagement, there was a lot of interest in doing an actual admission. We just didn't feel quite ready for that without knowing what our traffic is going to be like, and so we kept it as a suggested donation. So there's suggested donations for adults, seniors, and students. And then there's some photocopy fees, but nothing major on that. The admission for the suggested donations, $5 for adults, seniors $3, and students $2. And again, just suggested donations. The parks fee schedule, everything basically remained the same. We did increase our largest pavilion in Van Buren Park to match Quirk and French Landing, which are higher fees for those pavilions. So for example, in Van Buren Park, Meadow and Grove are our two small ones. There are $120 for the resident fee, and the non-BBT resident is $140. And we bumped Lakeside, the big one, up to be $180 and $200 to match Quirk and French, just to have a distinction between the two sizes because they're almost double in size. And then that was all that changed on the parks one. And then our big new fun fee structures for the community center. So a lot of planning and research and everything, mostly done by Director Zangline, went into this. And so one of the things that we found out when doing this research was everyone, our sister and brother communities, recommended to us that we tried to keep it as simple as possible. You go on some of these community center sites and they have 87 different fees, and so we tried to keep it as simple as possible. So they're kind of broken down into two main sections, which has to do with billing. So we have annual memberships, which are a slight deal compared to the automatic billing memberships, which are going to be charged monthly. It's still going to be a 12-month commitment, but it's a little bit more accessible to make those smaller monthly payments for some people. So we wanted to include that. And then the main types of memberships are individual. So these are people 16 years and older can have their own individual membership. We have a family membership, which accounts for 2 adults and whatever dependent children are in the same household. We also have a fee for additional family members. So an additional adult, same household as a family membership. We have senior membership. So we have 2 different types of senior membership. We have a senior matinee. So what this is that the hours for this membership are restricted to open to 3 p.m. So very similar to what the old senior center hours were. And then we have an open senior membership, which basically is all of the hours that we're going to be open for the community center. And so for senior memberships, one major change that we're making going into opening the community center is that we're changing the age from 50 to 62. However, that being said, existing senior center members that are members right now will be grandfathered into the fee structure, and they'll still be considered. So say, for example, there's a 55-year-old that's a member of the center right now. We're still going to consider them a member going into the community center. But new people, we're adopting the 62 years and older. And I'm trying to think. That's the main layout. Is there any questions about what we're proposing? Director Zangline, do you want to add anything? She probably could have explained this way better than I could have.
It's a test. Good job. No, Elizabeth covered everything. What we did is there was a lot of time and effort spent in looking at this. We kept our costs really low. We want this to be something that's easily accessible to everyone. We find throughout life that when you pay a little bit for something, you tend to value it more than if it's free. We just need to put a value to it. And so when you're looking at these different memberships, it's very affordable. The individual for the year is like $120, which ends up being about $10 a month. The family is $240, that's about $20 a month. And excuse me, when you look at memberships, what that's going to give you is that, you know, anybody can come in, there'll be daily fees. You can come in and pay and use the workout facility. You can use, go into the gym for classes and different things. But as a member, you're going to be able to use the track at any time, the workout facility. Excuse me, when the open fitness room is, we're not having classes, that'll be a great room to go in for stretching and other types of physical fitness activity. Members will get discounts on events, on classes, on when we have our child watch area. They'll be able to have member-only events once a month. We're hoping to do like a member-only fun family activity that will be open to them. But anybody will be able to come into the center, pay for classes. It's just as a member, you're going to have that benefit of being able to sign up first, get a little bit of a discount, and really just kind of join our family here at VBT. We're really excited about it.
So originally, we had talked about, and I had talked about it a lot at length, that I wanted this to be free. It's probably a third or less than what anybody else is charging in the area for these same services. It's not that this is going to make us or anything. It's more about getting people involved with the fact that they're going to have ownership of this.
Absolutely.
Also, we're not trying to break anybody, and having a family membership at $20 a month shouldn't hurt anybody. $50 for a matinee for the year. We talked about moving that to 25.
We did. So the
So,
senior matinee, which
yeah.
which kind of mirrors the hours before, but I will say that before, when we were open here at Township Hall, the senior center was technically open until 4 o'clock Monday through Friday. So this does give them additional hours on the weekends. And that senior matinee is $20 for residents, 25 for non. So we're not changing the price on our senior center members.
Yeah, and that's currently what we charge, even though we don't charge.
Right. We haven't charged through the pandemic because we know we've put them through a lot with moving back
Yeah.
and forth. But once we're, before we had moved, when we were still
So it's
open
not
here.
going to change. The senior membership before is going to be the same senior membership that they had before for the senior center, and they have use of the other center till 3 o'clock or so. If they go over a little bit a couple times, we're not going to care.
Well, the nice thing will be that they have their own space, yet they have the rest of the VBC as well. So
Yeah.
those other areas are open, and I expect a lot of traffic up on that track. So I'm really looking forward to that space.
And I've noticed that a lot of other community centers actually have senior centers attached to it, but they make the seniors buy punch cards to use the track.
Right.
So they've isolated them and cut them out of the community center area. So, okay. Okay. Anybody?
Questions?
Okay, no questions. Okay, I have no questions then, all right.
Thank you.
I have a motion by trustee Kelly, supported by treasurer Bud. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Is this supposed to be a roll call vote?
Doesn't need to be, no.
No? Okay. All right. Reports, we have none. Public comment for non-agenda items. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on any non-agenda items? Nope. Anybody from the board want to make comments? I want to say thank you, Dave. I hear over and over how wonderful you are. Thank you for everything you're doing in the museum, and I hear it over and over from those two. So, yeah. Anyway, I have nothing else. Anybody else? No? Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Frazier? No discussion? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion passes. We're adjourned.